The BMW Z4, this is a vehicle that we've already done a video on, much like the Toyota Supra. And if you've seen those videos, you'll know that BMW split the development money with Toyota to make this. It's made in Magna Schneider, not in one of their typical BMW factories. And this was the first time that BMW made a dedicated sports car platform for driving, because everything else they made is shared with the 3 Series sedans. They're all sedans turned into sports cars. They're all like SUVs turned into sports cars. So I wanted to talk about why this thing has kind of been left behind and why they haven't really put as much development budget into this compared to like the SUVs like the XM or the iX. And I think the straight answer is not a lot of people buy this, and they weren't all that committed to it in the first place. And it's sad because there's so many good things about it, price aside. When you look at the outside, it's one of the more unique looking BMWs on the road. It has a longer hood line. It doesn't look as overstyled. And when you get on the inside space of this, you'll see right away, much like the old school Z3Ms, it's got a very purposeful interior. The door panels are covered in more durable material so you can drive in inclement weather, including the dashboard. And the benefit of this is it's more simple on the inside. It's using some of their best technology from the previous generation. All the knobs, buttons, and switches are physical. You have iDrive 7 here. You have all physical HVAC controls. And you know exactly how to use this car, and it's very comfortable for it. When you have the top down, you don't even know you have the top down. There's no wind buffeting. And there's just a high sense of quality that you don't get from a lot of convertibles in this price range. Granted, it is very expensive. I'm sitting in one with a 4-cylinder with the M packages and some other things around $64,000, and that's without the inline 6. So you're gonna wonder why you would buy this, and I have to wonder why BMW has not given this any attention. Even when they launched it, there was like no fanfare. And it's a car that is vastly underrated. I really love driving this car. You forget about it and you get behind the wheel, like, you know that BMW knows how to do this. It's just kind of sad that, you know, they haven't done more with it. But let's head in the shop, we're gonna talk about that.
Mark, we're in the shop with a 2023 BMW Z4 30i. They made a couple changes for this model year, and all of it is packaging. So on the 40i and the 30i, the sport package comes as standard. That's an appearance package. There's some unique exterior trim pieces like the Shadowline package, and they've changed some other bits and bobs, but this is essentially the same car since they launched it, and this is still built by Magna Steyr, the same people who build the Supra. And the Supra on this were co-developed at the same time. However, the individual chassis tuning, the design, and some of the other finer details were done by their respective OEMs.
Is this the type of car that I'm going to take my 70-year-old girlfriend out for drinks with? Or?
Yes, this is, Mark. This is a GT car. Even though this is technically on CLAR or sports car CLAR, this was not designed to be an M vehicle. This is designed to be a fun, open-top, convertible car that BMW forgot existed.
Yeah, well, they said that this was going to be their first dedicated sports car chassis that they had. And they didn't do a whole hell of a lot with it, Jack, but they've sure done a lot with their SUVs like the BMW XM, which is a masterpiece. So I guess we should take this for a drive and just see what...
Oh, no, Mark, I got to tell these people about some of the finer mechanical bits really quickly. This is a strut front, though. This is BMW's multi-link strut. It's a multi-link rear end, not a strut. It's got 2 wishbones, top and bottom. This has the optional handling package, which means it gets adaptive dampers and a locking rear differential. This is powered by the B48 and makes 250 horsepower, about 300 foot-pounds of torque. And if you option this out with God's engine, you can get the B58. And that is, you know, that's the way to go. It makes...
How much room does it have for my Red Lobster takeout?
All right, Mark, let's go take this for a drive.
I had a dream.
What was the dream?
That I somehow got trapped into being a body donor for transference of consciousness. They had to dismember me and transfer my consciousness into a cyborg, like an android body. So I had to be killed and transferred.
That was your dream?
This was the dream, and I was trying to get out of it, and I couldn't. I was forced into doing it. And the guy that was in charge, like, had me in a cell, like a room, and this fucking dude was walking around with no shirt on. The whole dream. And I was so desperate to get out of this. It was like going on for 4 fucking hours. Me trying to figure out how to get out of this cell. Yeah, take a right.
We lose.
And finally, I went to the guy, I'm like, look, I'll do anything else. Oh man, I didn't think you could do that with a 4-cylinder, Jack.
Oh, don't worry, Mark. The reason this is possible is it's related to the B58. This is the B48.
Oh, I see.
Look, this is a car that BMW basically forgot about. There's no marketing on it.
There was no marketing when it launched. Like, hey, what'd you guys do?
We made
Crickets. I just got an email back with a fucking duplicate copy of an AARP card.
The sad part about this car is it has this waft of if you're from Illinois, like Lake Forest, or you're from the East Coast, the Hamptons. It's got this old, rich, stodgy dude taking out his wife who's the same age as him, and they're gonna go golfing.
For Olive Garden.
Yeah, for Olive Garden.
Or an upscale Olive Garden dinner.
But the sad part is, if that's what you think about this car, you're missing the fact that it's probably one of the most natural, dynamic vehicles BMW currently sells. It's light. It's not overly tail happy, despite all my sideways just then. And it's a good driving car.
It's a really good driving car. One of the things, obviously we're in the 4-popper, and let's get this out of the way, it's way too much money for what it is.
I just tested, what are you, 64, 65?
It's like 64, and you could probably honestly get this for 60 if you trim out some of the fat. But at $60,000 for a 4-cylinder automatic BMW, you look at the C8, you look at the Z we just got out of, the Mustang. There's a lot of really compelling options, but clearly you're not buying this as an enthusiast product. That's not what it's marketed as. It's marketed towards, you want a convertible, a quiet convertible that has less buffeting with the top down than the Supra does with its windows open. And you get really, really good solid driving dynamics. And I know you brought it up and I'm rambling on, but this is one of those few cars with the 4-cylinder, the power to weight is so balanced. It feels like when you brake, the back end rotates, and if you get back on the throttle, it doesn't spin itself like the inline 6. So I really love the way it drives, but they just don't care about it any more than that. You're gonna buy this, you're older, you want a convertible, it's a great car. It has the older traditional BMW shit on the inside. There's no gimmicks. It's just, why would you spend this kind of money on it?
Yeah, that's the hard part. I tell the story all the time, but many years ago when we first drove this was at an autocross for MAMA, which is the Midwest Press Association. And around the autocross course, this was faster than an M2 comp, at least the one they set up, because this would get into corners, you could lean on the front end, you could lift to get it to rotate, and you can get back on the gas, and it wouldn't just do this giant oversteer moment. It's a very surprisingly delicate driving car for a BMW product. I just think if you're gonna spend $60,000, you just buy the B58 variant, the 6, and then you would then be fighting the rear end. And this car is tail happy. Obviously, with a 4-popper, it's not tail happy under throttle.
Yeah, you don't have enough torque to overwhelm the back end.
But when you add this, if you added the 6 to this, I'm sure this thing would be all over the place.
Yeah, it just turns into an absolute. That's what I love about the 4-cylinder in here is, it's Nerf, but it was really, really stable. But let's talk about the real stuff. Nobody gives a shit about the driving dynamics in this. That's not why you're buying it. Let's talk about the body control, how it actually handles the noise. How is it? Is it a noisy cabin when you're driving?
We have the top up because we're trying to do this drive commentary, but we're sitting at 65 miles an hour right now on a county road, and it's perfectly quiet in here.
It is really, it's also really comfortable. I know you have some problems with the damping profile, but for a car like this, if you're just gonna be a putter, let's say we got done with the track, you're outside all day in the heat or something, or you're doing a real job where you're scorched, you can get in here and you don't even know it's a convertible with this top the way it is, and it does not beat you up. Even in the softest and the hardest setting, it's a really good balance between the two.
You can feel a little bit, it's not quite cowl shake, but you can feel the body struggles to absorb some of the impacts.
Yeah.
But, I'm being hypercritical.
There's some washboarding to it, and you feel a bit of a heave over, different types of pavement transitions between concrete and blacktop. And there is some washboarding, but to me, for a car like this, it doesn't really, I don't think it's that bad.
No, this is for the price point the car is at, if you say you got one at $60,000 and you weren't looking for that be-all, end-all, like straight line speed car, you wanted a GT, you wanted it to have some of the BMW-ness, the positive customer experience through dealers, and well sorted out interior, and a car that's very fuel efficient. For me, and I've been driving this thing like an asshole, I've been getting like mid-20s. I'm sure you could easily get high 20s, low 30s in this all day long. It's a good car, really. BMW, it's a shame they sort of let this thing just fall into obscurity.
They don't care about it. They care about this thing as much as they do like an X1. I think it's just they got it out and they're just like, it'll run its life cycle and be done with it.
Yeah, we fulfilled our obligations to Toyota. They can build the Supra, and that's it.
Yeah, I guess that's a good place to leave it, Jack.
All right, Mark.
Hey, Bruce. Just got my eyes dilated. Cataracts are acting up again. But that's no drama in this car. I've driven it hard, I've driven it soft. I've taken my lady friends on it, and I've also done some things in there I'm not proud of, like breaking the speed limit, going 47 and a 45. That's what I'm doing in the Z, or the Z4. It's a Z4, right? Yeah, Z4. So this four-cylinder delivers tremendous horsepower and fuel economy. It's quiet, it's comfortable, does everything you want. With the top down, you feel like you're the king of your town, until you're not, until a C8 Corvette pulls up and revs his engine and you hear the sweet sound of American V8s, and you realize you're subhuman and you're going to give up on life. And that's a lot of what this car seems to be like in the sense of BMW. That just, it could be so much more because it feels so good in so many ways. It's just that little carrot that they dangle out in front of your nose to make you think, oh man. But at the end of the day, you're going to buy a BMW SUV.